Now let me add these fields. Like we have privacy field here, we have add readme file here and such in our application of GitHub. What we are going to do is, let me create this radio buttons that we are having in here. So we need two things to install. First, open React icons and then also open Ant Design, this library. Let me install both of them. So to install Ant Design, this command is here. So let me copy, paste it in here in the new terminal. So paste, and also let me install the React icons. So I can say React icons. They should be, let's say, in here after Ant Design. Click enter. Okay, I am adding one extra dollar, so let me delete this. It is installing, so let me create folder for this radio button. So I can say radio button. In the folder, let me make a file called index.tsx. so this will be a functional component. Let me name is, or just leave it for that as that. Now in the radio buttons, we can make radio button dot module dot css. Let me import, let me just first come to Ant Design, open the components tab. In here, let me search for radio. It will come up here. So we need vertical radio buttons like this, option A, B, and C, such. Let me just have this entire code from in here. Basically, it is the component for radio button, React, FC, and such. Or we can directly use it in here as well. So let me just use it here first. Now what we have to do is, let me just remove radio 3 and 4. Let me leave with option A and B only. So if I just import, let me change the name of this to common radio. Export it at the bottom. So we have this. Let me now come to here in our new repo file, component, import common radio from components, common radio button. Then simply return it before this common button that we are having to create a new repo. So now we have two buttons of radio, but we cannot see it. So what we can do is just have a div in here. Okay, 1 second. Let me copy this closing div, add it at the bottom. Now what we need to do is remove this input, it is unused. Import the file of module in here of radio buttons. So import styles from this file. Then this should go in this class name will be styles.radio container. Save. Let me grab radio container, come in here. Let me make the color as, I can say, white or white smoke. So it will not work. I guess we have to make it important. No, not working. So I guess this will go on the radio, option A and option B. So what I can do is give this a class name of styles dot radio option. So we can use this class name in here in the radio container. So color white or white smoke. Yes, now it is working. So I can use this on this second option as well of radio. It will be option A and B. Now what we need to do is, we have option A and option B, make a div in here. Okay, sorry, make a div, yes, in here. We have option A and option B. So let me name this div as public, and the second one will be a div of private. So we can have public repos or private repos according to this. So private. Save it. We have public and private. So if you check in GitHub, we have icons as well in here. So let me also add the icons from React icons. So one is private and one is public. So I can say public, or let's say globe icon for public. So what we can do is, we can create a state here, const radio options set radio options. or option equals to use state, which will be, this will be an array of objects. So I can have this in here. Now what we can do is, we are having radio option. In this, let me set the name of the option in this object. So we can say title. This will be known as public. So let me repeat this object once more for the private title. So this will be called as private. So make it private. Now let me add the icons, which is the globe icon. So let me copy globe from Bootstrap or BS, like BS globe. Come in here, make a property in the object called icon and return the BS globe. Let me import this. Import, I can say BS globe, BS from react icons / BS. Now save, repeat the same for the private. So the private is having a lock icon in here. See. So search for a lock icon from Bootstrap, lock. So let me use something like BS lock, where we can have it. BS lock, sorry, BS fill, lock fill. So have it in here, add the icon in here as well, return the icon. So let me now pass radio options in here in the common radio. So it will be received as props. Now what we need to do is map through it. So what we can do, remove one extra radio option and we can simply do radio options or option.map. I can show option, return some JSX, and in that we will have this radio option, save it. So the public title that we are having, it will be dynamic. We can say option dot this key name, which is called title. So add it. Let me now have the title from in here, which will be empty string. Now let me add a type in the interfaces folder, because if we hover this, we will see that some issues are there in here. So let me have, or let me open interface folder. So let me add an interface here called common radio. In here we can just have the title for now. Where did it go? This file, title, which will be a string. Let me copy common radio and just add this in here. Save. But we have an option, radio option does not exist on type of common radio. So let me come to the, let me close this home page. Okay, it is radio option that we are passing. Fine. We have, okay, this will be radio option. Sorry, it was my mistake. What is issue here? This also radio option. One second, I think I am doing it wrong. Radio option type, let's make it, or common radio type. Now let me add this in here. Now what is the issue? Property radio option does not exist on this type. I guess what we can do is, so we are passing an object in here, correct? So I think we should make an object in here, object, and let me remove this. What will happen now? The errors are gone away in here, but here we are having this issue that map does not exist in type of object. So what we can do is just make an object in here and add map as a function. This will resolve our issue. Typescript is weird, I know. Yes, see, no issues now. So if I check here, we are having both of them as checked. So we have a value property in here. So value is either 1 or 2. So if I make it as 2, it will be 2. If I make it as 1, like if it is 1, it is selected. Okay, I am getting confused here. So if I check this one, we are having radio option 1, value 2 and such. So this is a function. If I come to our application, open the inspect element, console, I mean, let me choose private. It is not getting selected. So what I can do is just have the value prop in here as well. I mean value property. So value will be 1 for public, value will be 2 for private. So let me also add this thing. I can say option dot value. So value should be in here as well. Value. So this is a number, so make 0. Now let me come here and let me choose private. We are having radio checked as 2, click public. We are having radio checked as 1. Perfect. So it is working. Now this function that we are having on change, they should be outside. Or one thing we can do is one more thing. Let me make a property in here called privacy. So let me check the documentation of repositories in it. So it is private. So just make private and let's make it false. Now let me just pass this function called get inputs in our radio or common radio. So get inputs will be in there. Let me get it in here. So this should be also defined in the interface after radio option. So we can do this. Get inputs. This will be an function with return type of void. But the thing is, it is not, the return type is not empty. We are getting event react dot change event. So add it in here in the bracket. So it is fine now. So we are passing the function. It is taking an event. So let me come to the radio option. So we are having get inputs. Let me run this when we select the input. So if I run this in here, we have to add the event. I mean pass the event. So I can just pass E. Let's see. Okay, what is the issue? Argument of type radio change event is not assignable to this. So I guess I do this in here with the type as well. Yes. But the issue is expected 1 arguments but got 2. So get inputs. It is a function. We are passing the event. Let me make this as any. What will happen? Okay. Change event element. So okay, we are having this in here. Let me just copy this, add it in here. This will be, but I am having an issue that, so get inputs, it is taking this. So if I just pass E, it is causing my problems. So what we can do is just leave it as any. It will fine. Or what if I make it unknown? So just leave it at any, because we have type of issue of the types here. So skip it, I think. Now we are having public and private. Okay, we also have to add the icons in here. But first, okay, let me also set the values. So I can say bring back this thing, or set value should be in here. Just set it. E dot target dot value. Save. Now remove this type of radio change event. Now we can choose between them and it will be fine. Now the thing is, yes, so I have to add the icons. So let me make one more div in here and just do option dot the property of icons. So save. We will be now having the icons that we added in the object outside this component, in this component. Let me also make icon as empty string, or just say empty string. Yes, we have icons. Now the next step is to arrange them. So we are having this radio option. Let me make flex display in here. So display flex. I think it will not work inside this. Just make another div, copy this div, close it, give it a class name. This will be styles dot I can say this should be named as options container. Save it. Let me now have this in here. Options container display flex align item center. Let me add gap of 20 px. Say 20 is much, try 10. 10 is fine. Let me also add margin top of 5 px. Yes, they are properly set now. Now in the radio options, let me have a class name. This will, class name. This will be styles dot radio icon. Have it this class name, add it in here. This radio icon we have to style now. Dot radio icon. Let me make, or I guess this should not be the class names in here. So let me leave it. We can use size there. 30. Okay, 30 is big. Try 20. 20 is fine. Repeat the same in here. Save. Now they are big, private, and public. The thing is, we are having a little bit of space after the icon and the option. So just make margin left 10px. What about this? Or 15? No, this is not working. Radio icon we are having. This should work. I guess this should be outside the radio container here. What about 115? No, it is not working. So what we have to do, on the options container, let me make the margin left 10px. So make it. Now it is here, working fine. But 15 is, I guess, too much. Try 10. 10 is fine. Public and private repositories. So time to get the values. I mean, I have already get the values, and let me change this to a simple option, simple radio option without use state. A simple or an simple array. Let me remove unnecessary syntaxes from here. Okay, what we need to do is, so the data that we are having is coming in the set repo data. In this private, it is true or false. Let me just do a console log of this. So if I choose private, okay, it is undefined. Undefined is 2. What we now need to do is we have private. What we need to do is also give it a name. So this radio should have a name that will be private, or not private, option dot name, let's say. So let me add name in here, empty string, and the name will go in here as well, in this radio options array of objects. So name will be, I can say name should be private in both of them, because name should be same, the field name I mean. Copy, paste. So the name will work on this, like name is now option name. Let me now click public. Still we are getting undefined, but we are also getting private. So what is this undefined one here? Now let me check. We have private as false. Click public. Private is still false. Okay, the name should be not on the radio, but on the radio group. So just add a static name called private in small letters. Now let me give it a try. So let me change the name what we are getting. Click public, it is private. I mean, click public, it is private. Click it again, it is private again. So the name is working fine. Now let me bring them back and remove this console log. Now let's check what we're getting in the set of repo data. So it is still undefined as 1. Then click the private. Private is 2. Click it again. Private is 1. What name should be removed from here? So remove the name. Similarly, name should be removed from here as well. Remove it. Let me refresh it. So click private. Repo name is empty. Okay, private is 2. Click public. Now private is 1. So it is working. So what we can do is, let me now change a few things also, which is, if you check in the API of creating repositories, we have name. So let me make description. So this name should go in the name as well, like common input, name will be equal to name, description will be equal to description, and we need to just pass the repo data in create repo function. So our work here is done. Close it. This is also done. Close it. In the file, this is also not done, so just don't close it. Get GitHub APIs.jsx. we are having name and description. Replace it with repo data in here because we will only pass one single state, an object state. So I can say we have name in here, empty string. Then we have, or let me make this as string, not empty. String, name is string. Then we have description, also a string. Then we are having the third thing is it is private boolean value. So make it boolean. Now let me pass repo data directly in here. So we are going to replace name, description and private. So remove this stuff. Now let me have this object or just restructure it, repo data. It will work. So repo data will go with these three input fields directly. We don't have to pass it one by one. So this is done. It is done. It is done. So it will work. Let's try this. Okay, I have done something wrong. Like I have to fix something. For example, this private that we are having, we are setting it in here. So we have to make it a little different. So private is either false or true, but we are passing number in here. We are passing. Okay, let me just choose private. Let me do a console log again of this repo data. Oh, choose public. The private is 1. So we are not supposed to pass number. We are supposed to pass a boolean value. So what we am going to do is check in here. If the name is this, so if the name is, what is the name in here? Private, we are going to do this stuff. So let me copy this, paste it, and name will be equal to value. So just add this stuff in here. So if value is 1, set it to this. Let me add a colon. Okay, we don't need another value here. So if value is equals to 1, okay, let me convert this to a number. Now it is fine. So now just set the input in here. Triple dots input. Now let's check what we are getting. Let me give it a refresh. Click private. So okay, private is 2. Click it again. It is 1. So if the name is private, we can make an else statement in here as well. So if else, just do this thing. Let me add it in here. Now we can try this. Click private. Private is true. Click public. Private is false. So it is working. Let me check. Let me create a new repo. Let me go to GitHub homepage. So let me now name this as sample. We can give description as this is sample 1. Let me now come to network tab. Let me check the response. Make it as private. Click create repository. It is pending and we have made it. So it is private. It means it is true. The home page is this is sample 1 and so on. Let me now check GitHub. Go to my repositories. We are having the sample 1 which is private. So it is working. Perfect. We did it. Okay. What about the next or other values? Like let me create or go to create page again. So we are having initialize this repository with a readme file. So click create again. Let me also create this field. Let me make a p tag in here after the common radio input. So p tag, this will contain initialize this repository with this. It is coming in here. Also just wrap it in a div because we need to style them. Sorry, div should be here. Save. It is here. So after this we need to add a checkbox. Let me grab the checkbox from here. Just search a checkbox. Let me create a component for this as well. I can say checkbox. Make index.tsx. Let me grab the checkbox basic TypeScript component data. Paste it. Make this as this app should be common check box. This should be here as well, like export the component. What we need now is, let me have common checkbox in the new repo. Import it. Import common checkbox from this route. Then just return it. Save it. We will now have a checkbox in here that we need to arrange. I mean style. Come in here, wrap this in a div again, just like we did for radio button. So cut, paste, save, make a file of class, make a file of styling. This will be, let's name it as checkbox.module.scss. Simply import it in here. Import styles from this checkbox module.scss. Then give this div a class name of styles.checkbox container. Now let me use this style in here. Checkbox container colored, let's make it white. 1 second. Color is white, but it is not changing. I guess this should be same. Okay, let me check radio what we did in here. So we are having radio container. We are having, okay, this should be in the radio class name. Sorry. So repeat it same in here. This will be checkbox option. Let me grab checkbox option. Just add it in here and just make color as white. Save. It is now white. Let me change the name. So this will receive a title. Let me have title. This will be a string. I will add it later. Title will come in here, and let me name the title as, what is it? In this, it is add a readme file. I guess I have closed VS Code accidentally, so open it again. Sorry for that. Run our VS Code. Run the code. This should be here now anytime. So add the title, add a readme file, save. So let me use title in this checkbox like this. We are having the title in here. Perfect. Let me create a interface. Just make interface common checkbox. So it is having a title, which is a string. Let me now use common checkbox interface in here. The name will clash, so just make it as common checkbox type. So do it again in here. And what is the issue? Okay, sorry, this should not be here because we are adding this react.fc. So add it in here, it will be fine now. So we are having add a readme file, and we are just having e.target.checked. So let me add a name in here. This will be the name of this property. If I come down, we have homepage and such. We have git ignore template. No, add a readme file we have. Whether this repository is initialized with a minimal readme. So I guess this is it. The name auto init. So make the name as auto init. Okay, I have to copy this properly. Copy, paste, save. Now the name will be in here if I just do the stuff after this. Now let me just style this. We have add this repository with, okay, let me also add this text. But okay, I think I have added it. But this should be also there. Let me add this in a span tag in the new repo page. Span this text. Save. This should be in here. Now let me, in the div in here, give it a class name of, let's say, styles dot checkbox or repo checkbox, or we can say styles dot add git ignore. Let me try this. Add this in here. After, I can say react icons. I can say this. Add git ignore margin top say 15 pixels. Yes, it is done. Now it is done. What we need to do is this text that we are having, this is where you write long description for your project and blah blah. We should have this smaller. So in the span, let me give the class name as styles dot subtitle. This will be for the ticketing node. So if I add this in here, make font size 15 pixels, it will be smaller. Maybe make smaller to 13. Yes, 13 is fine. What about this one, this text here? Let me also add class name styles dot title. For this, initialize this repository. Add it here. Font size. Okay, font size is fine. The title that we are having, it is somewhere else in this file. Let me check. It is a new repo inner, so it is working on this as well. So I guess let me add the title as ignore title. Now this will come up in here as title. Font size make 15 pixels. This should be now, let me make 17. It is now big. Font will be this. And all the properties of add getting node. So add it. And now it is looking prettier. One more thing I have to do on the public and private, I mean privacy, we need to add some sort of margin top. So wrap this in the div as well. Common radio. Give a class name. This will say styles dot, I can name this as repo radio btn. So let me bring it down here in the new repo. In the repo form, we can add this and say margin top to, okay, 10 pixels. 10 pixels, fine is this. 10 pixels is, we can select radio buttons and this as well. Add a readme file. Perfect. This is now. So let me change the color of the text in add getting node. So color, let me make white smoke. Now they are brighter. So this is done. Fine. The next step is to just add the property of add readme file to our API call. So just I have to pass get inputs function in the checkbox, I mean common checkbox. So just pass it as props. Save. Come to checkbox. Destructure it in here. I guess this on change event should be inside this. So okay, it is a little bit difficult because it is just okay, let me add this and then return. Okay, return JXX. So not bigger brackets, smaller brackets. Remove this one and it should be now fine. So get inputs should also be on this interfaces. So get inputs, it is a function, so I can just copy this one, paste it here, save. So it will run just like it ran before. And in the get inputs, we need to just pass this e, save. We should have an issue, blah blah blah. Make this as any, remove this checkbox type, save. So I guess we don't need this e.check.target or e.target.checked. Okay, now close this as well. Come to new repo. What we now need to do is, if the value is checked, we have to set it. But first, let me do a console log in the inspect and see what we are getting. So it is repo data. Where is it? Okay, we have to add a property that is known as auto init in here. So auto init, it is a boolean, so make it false initially, save. Okay, now let me just check clg auto, not auto init, repo data. Let me select this checkbox. It is here. Auto init is undefined as expected, because if I console the value in here, what should we get? Let me check. Uncheck it. It is undefined because we need to also get a property called checked. This will contain the property of this checkbox. So check it, it is true. Uncheck it, it is false. So just like that, we need to make one more if statement in here. But it will be else if. So in here, let me add this. Let me copy the name property. Also, if, let me close or let me delete this extra bracket. If the name that we are having, if it is the name of, I can say this in the radio not checkbox. If it is auto init, do this stuff. So in the input, let me remove this one and then I can just do this. So name property will be equal to checked property. Let me remove this, and I don't want to do that. Remove this line. Now if I click the checkbox, we are having name empty, description empty, and auto init is true because we have checked it. Uncheck it, it is false. So I can try to create one repository here also. Let me delete this one. Do we have any other option in GitHub that we can add in creating a repository? We can have adding git ignore, or there was a property. Okay, we can, yes, add a git ignore for a language that you can add also. You can also add, choose a license that we have these license MIT, GNU, so on. We are creating a public repository in your personal account, so I can also add this at the bottom, but let me skip because it is simple thing. I mean, all of this is simple. Okay, now let me create a repository. First, let me delete my repository in here. Sample one, that is. Deleting this is easy. Nishant 666 sample 1. Delete this repository. Let me add my password. So it's not here anymore. Close it. So what we can do, refresh the page. Let me add repo name called sample description sample repo creation. Let me make it as private. Add a readme file. Click create repository. It is done. We have now a repo in here. So if I refresh this page, we have sample repo, which is private. And yes, we have the name in here and the title. Sorry, I have title and the description of the repo that we used in here. So it is done. It is working. So that's how we create a repository fully with these options.